Today's story takes us back to the turn of the century in December 1901 in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. This little town would become the center of a shocking murder case. Nell Maud Cropsey was born in July 1882 in Brooklyn, New York, to parents William and Mary Louise. In 1898, Nell, younger sister Ollie, and parents left the city and moved to a 65-acre plantation in Elizabethtown, North Carolina. Nell and sister Ollie were beautiful girls and had attracted more than their share of suitors. Nell began dating Jim Wilcox, the son of a local sheriff, while Ollie was dating a man named Roy Crawford. Jim and Nell had been courting nearly 3 years, and it was said that Nell was growing impatient with Jim's resistance to propose marriage. In order to spurn Jim into proposing marriage, Nell began flirting with other men in public, but this plan seemed to go awry. On the evening of November 20th, both Roy and Jim went to visit the Cropsey home. The two couples had spent the evening together, and later that night, Jim asked Nell to join him in the front porch so that they could be alone. Nell and Jim had an argument. The fight was loud, and everyone in the household could hear that the two lovers were shouting at one another, even if what they were saying couldn't be understood. Some of Nell's family, who were in the house at the time, did say that it seemed she and Jim had made up, but no one really knew where the lovers stood by the end of that night. When Nell Cropsey stepped outside the door with Jim around 11 that night, it would be the last time she was ever seen alive again. Ollie heard something bang against the back of the house shortly after Jim Wilcox left. Going out to investigate, she found that the screen door had been broken. She saw no sign of who or what had broken the door. Ollie went upstairs to see if Nell was already in bed, but found her sister's room empty. Uneasy about her sister's absence, she nevertheless returned to her own room and attempted to sleep. Not much later that evening, shouts could be heard outside. The disturbance was loud enough to rouse the entire household. Upon reaching the front yard, the next-door neighbor came running over, claiming that he saw someone attempting to steal the family pig. It was then they noticed Nell was missing. When morning came and Nell Cropsey was still missing, the hunt began in earnest. The police were summoned, and the entire town was searched high and low, but no trace of Nell was found. Suspicion for Nell's disappearance immediately fell on Jim Wilcox, who maintained that he had no idea what had happened to her. This response wasn't good enough for the police. Jim was arrested on suspicion of kidnapping and held in the local jail. On the night of December 27th, more than 1 month after Nell was last seen, the mystery of her disappearance would end. Mrs. Cropsey spotted something floating in the Pasquotank River near the family home. Sending some boatmen out to investigate, she crushingly realized that her long vigil was over. What she had seen floating on the river was her daughter's body. However, a few days before her body was discovered, the family had received a letter with a New York postmark. The letter contained what seemed to be detailed account of the events of the night of Nell's disappearance. The letter stated that Nell Cropsey had interrupted a vagrant attempting to steal the family pig. Upon being discovered, the man grabbed a nearby branch or stick and knocked Nell unconscious. The unknown man carried Nell down to the river and, using a nearby boat, rowed out into the river and dumped Nell Cropsey in the Pasquotank River. The letter included a map which marked the spot where the body could be found. The spot marked on the map was very close to where Nell Cropsey's body would eventually be discovered. Who sent this letter? Was it actually Jim Wilcox attempting to throw off the authorities? What truly happened that night remains unknown to this day. With the discovery of Nell's body, the townspeople erupted. A lynch mob descended upon the jail, demanding Jim be released into their hands. Nell's parents refused to join the mob and pleaded with the crowd to let justice be served in the courts. Eventually, Governor Aycock sent in a small Naval Reserve group to disperse the crowd. Wilcox was tried twice for the Cropsey murder. At the first trial, he was found guilty, but this conviction was overturned when North Carolina Supreme Court declared a mistrial. A second trial convicted Jim Wilcox on a charge of second-degree murder and sentenced him to 30 years in prison. At neither trial did Jim take the stand in his own defense. Jim was pardoned by Governor Thomas Bickett after serving only half of his sentence. To the very end of his life, Jim maintained his innocence. Shortly before his death in 1932, Jim Wilcox spoke with W.O. Saunders, the editor of the Elizabeth City newspaper, and revealed everything he knew about the murder. Saunders walked away from the interview, convinced Wilcox was innocent, and planned to publish the full details. 2 weeks after that interview, Jim Wilcox committed suicide. Saunders died shortly thereafter in a car accident. Whatever information was shared between Wilcox and Saunders will be taken to their graves. It is said that for the past century, those who have lived in the Cropsey home have reported strange happenings. Lights have gone on and off by themselves, doors open and shut of their own accord, and strange gusts of cold air move throughout the house. The pale figure of a young woman has been seen moving throughout the home. Many people passing by on the streets outside have reported seeing the ghostly figure of a girl looking out of an upstairs window. Residents even say that the figure of Nell Cropsey has appeared in their bedrooms at night. These strange occurrences lead one to wonder what caused Wilcox to take his own life. Was it guilt, regret, or did Nell reach out from beyond the grave and take her revenge on the man who had robbed her of her young life? And what of W.O. Saunders? Is it just a tragic accident that he should die in a car crash a short time after Jim's suicide? Or maybe it is nothing more than a dark coincidence. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe to this channel. We hope to return with new, true stories of horror.